because I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm a big reader. I'm reading the new Hunger Games right now. It's if you like that shit, it's fire. Um, if you don't like to read or you don't like fantasy books, I mean your life is probably kind of boring, but it's up to you. It's your call. I was watching Amit's live, so that's all what you heard. Nice, 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 nice. Tap into the Red Rising series. Somebody just told me this. So, bro, if you like Red Rising, have you read the book The Will of the Many? If you haven't, bro, I wish I had that in here with me in my office. If you haven't read, if you like fantasy books or you like just fiction books in general, like if you like Harry Potter, if you like Game of Thrones, if you like, I've heard this Red Rising series, Hunger Games, all that type of shit. It's a newer series. It just came out last year, bro. It's you got to be committed to it. It's like 700 pages. It is one of the best books I've ever read. It's called The Will of the Many. The author is actually one of my favorite authors. He's only got 4 books out. The first trilogy he did, and now he's working on the second one. Check it out, bro. Check it out. So, anyways, y'all not here to. This isn't a book club. We should start a book club though, y'all, because knowledge is power. We should start a book club. And you were watching Amit's live. If you're talking about the guy on Twitter, that dude is not worth a follow. He's crashing out right now. Um, that my boy. Well, he's not my boy, but he's crashing the fuck out. A lot of people are crashing out, so let's talk about it. Um, okay, so ES is at 4,954. So funny. I only read self-helps. I read a lot of self-help books too. Here's my current self-help book that I'm reading right now. Really good, great book. I always love reading about 2 books at once. But you need to throw in some fiction, man. Life is too serious to read self-help books. Okay. I think I started the recording. So unfortunately, people who are attending the recording are also going to have to listen to me bullshitting about books. I did start the recording, right? Oh no, I didn't. Oh no, I did. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. Yes, his and Chris. I like watching Amit, but this is the perfect opportunity. Well, we're going to talk about the dip that keeps dipping. So, ES is at 4,953 dollars 25 cents, give or take. It's down 3%. Actually, kind of bouncing, kind of nice. Let's just open a blank chart here real quick. Not that I'm saying again, everyone, do not blindly buy the dip, but SPY and ES are kind of bouncing pretty nice so far. I don't know why this says 5. Oh, this is no, that's after. I'm like, that's not the case. Here, let's just go to ES. Joey, if you're here, bro, look at my ES. Dude. Butter. Butter. So ES needs to call it 510. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens for sure. But anyways, let's get into it. So what happened over the weekend? If obviously, unless you've been living under a fucking rock, you've heard of Trump's tariffs. First of all, the man campaigned on this, so I am kind of stunned at people's like shock over all of this. Like this was campaigned about for like 2 years, talking nonstop about this. One of like 5, I would say, pillars of his campaign. The other thing that just kills me every time is about stuff like this is here and here and here and here. All you were hearing is how we're in a bubble and it's going to pop soon. And, you know, then the bubble pops and everybody's stunned about it. I don't understand. I don't understand. So take a breath. What you don't want to do tomorrow, I implore you, unless you seriously need the cash, which just step back. This is one of the reasons I am forever team 9 to 5 until you're like at least 40. If you can rock it out and can do both, because like at least for me, that's allowed me to put myself way above what I would call the norm in terms of the amount of money that I was able to invest and how quick and all that kind of stuff, and then start subsequent side businesses like rentals, getting into trading, so on and so forth. But then two, you're at least protected from that, obviously, unless you get laid off, but still there's that level of protection, insurance, all that kind of stuff. And then the reason I always tell people you need to get your foundation first before just recklessly trading accounts is exactly this type of stuff, right? You need to have an investment account that is active in just shares and commons. Because by the way, it's as crazy as this is, the reason you're really seeing a lot of my dude Jax or my girl, I don't, you could be a guy or girl. Do you mind muting yourself, please? Thank you. Um, Where was I?
Yeah, do you know?
I'm gonna have to mute
Those big.
myself, my dog, which means you won't ever get to you won't ever get to ask a question. Um, where was I? Oh, you want your shares because like as bad as this seems right now, I think we'll be at about like 25% from the high when we open tomorrow down. Bro, like people's options accounts, like if your account's just options, and let's say you were again, I'll never understand why people or like majority options contracts and then you ask them like, oh well, what kind of what's in your long-term account? And they're like, oh, I don't have that. I don't own a single share of a company. That's a mistake. That's for sure a mistake. And one of the reasons we'll get into today is the VIX, for example, we're going to talk about at length and why we need to be really careful with options this week. But anyways, here's my couple of my key levels on SPY. If you've known me for, which is cool to see a lot of people in only bands remember me back from 2019. I've been publicly trading for quite a long time now, actually. But the sorry, my job tomorrow. But one of the things that I did back in 2020 was this idea of what's called the COVID fib sequence. So I took from COVID highs or COVID lows to COVID highs. And now that we're getting this dip that we're doing, I kind of want to go back to 2022 lows. And so we're going to do that right now. I'm going to show y'all. Let's zoom in here. Someone's trying to join this thing like every minute on the minute. And Luis said, don't panic. Yeah, for sure, don't panic. If you're a retail trader and you're under 50, as in like your age, um, and you're asking yourself, what should I do? Buy, sell, or hold? If you're even thinking about selling, just quit now. Because this is, if you miss the COVID, if you miss the COVID, sorry, y'all, I'm just trying to make sure that my bibs, yeah, that's what I thought. This is the kind of candle I'm thinking we're gonna get tomorrow or Tuesday, by the way. I'll show y'all later. Um, if you missed the COVID crash or the 2022 crash, um, you know, here we are yet again. It's always hilarious, right? So 2020, I'll tell you what, so I'm 31. If you're a millennial, dude, we've lived through some crazy shit. The '08 recession, 9/11, Katrina, uh, I'm missing a bunch of shit. COVID, 2022 crash, every single, all these hurricanes, all this stuff how many times have we heard the phrase once in a lifetime? How many once in a lifetime hurricanes have we had? We've now had once in a lifetime market crashes. This will be our fourth in 5 years, by the way. So take a breath. I'm assuming you were all alive during COVID. If you weren't, I don't even know how you're on this Zoom meeting right now because you're five. Um, then 2022 happened. It was, oh my God, we're not gonna make it. All this stuff. You're gonna make it, you're gonna be fine. So first of all, take a breath. If you're under 50 and you don't even think about it's equity. So by that I mean shares. If you're in options that expire next month, you're fucked. Okay. Somebody needs to be honest with you because there's gonna be a lot of people. There's only two ends of the spectrum I see right now. And I consider myself in the middle of those spectrum. People that are telling you that like, bro, you might as well just jump out of your car tomorrow while it's moving because your life is over. And then the people that are like, bro, we're all good. And you can be all good, but you need to be realistic too. If you're in options calls specifically that expire next month, bro, and broettes. You're fucked. Those are fucked. Okay. I have a TEM call expiring on the 17th. Brother, somebody's got to tell you to just be honest. You're cooked. It's cooked. Okay. So just go to bed tonight and know it's cooked and you'll feel better about that in the morning. Okay. Just in all aspects of life, just embrace reality and you'll feel much better. So anyways, the 2022 lows to our 2025 highs here. 3 years of data. Good amount in the stock market. We absolutely nuked through our 38% fib on Friday. Didn't even try to trade around it actually, which is always interesting to see. We are right around this level. That's funny enough. I marked on Friday coming into the weekend because if you look at ES right now, we're at 4965, which would put us right around 495 on SPY. Big bullish imbalance here. Very big, actually. What was our low? Just for me to see real quick again. Yeah, right around 480. So what would have been SPY 480, which I have 50% fib at 479 and a big support line at 478 going back to what was, notice, a previous resistance. Wouldn't it be interesting? Not saying it is, but this was a previous resistance for about 3 years. Wouldn't it be interesting if that ends up being right around our low, right? What do I always talk to y'all about? When stuff that was resistance becomes support, that's long term, that's bullish, right? Because notice what's the other thing that I always tell you. When you break out from a previous resistance or support, right? When you're breaking down, what do you always go back and do? You always go back and retest that breakout. So technically, all we've gone down to do is retest that breakout right now. The other thing that I will say is very interesting, and again, in no way saying that to right now or tomorrow is the bottom. I think likely we get some sort of like real scary, everyone will be talking about it, big crash on Tuesday. And then I'm not kidding. I do think we kind of start to put in a longer term what will be a bottom around Thursday. I'm not saying we're going back to the 600s in like 2 weeks. I'm not saying that at all. So please do not take me as saying that. But what's very interesting, if you look back at 2020, because remember, I love the phrase in the stock market because it's the truth. And it's not a stock market phrase, but people like to say history often repeats itself. History, in my opinion, never repeats itself verbatim, but it often rhymes. And if you look at the 2020 bottom and the 2022 bottom, it actually happened, funny enough, in a Sunday night overnight session. And that low was never seen in active market trading hours. So it would be, is all I'm saying, it would be the third time now, which is insane to say that we're basically getting our third bear market in 5 years. It would be the third time of the last three bear markets, which normally only happen last for a year and a half. And it's only like once every decade. If we made those lows yet again on a Sunday night over session. So again, just interesting. We'll see where we open tomorrow. Personally, what I'm looking for really quick, just so that I can move on. This is kind of what I mean when I say you don't buy the bottom, you wait for the strength to come in. So let me just zoom in here. Like yesterday, or on Friday, I was screaming to y'all in the chat, do not buy this. Do not buy this. Do not buy this. Do not buy this. Specifically, do not average down on your leaps tomorrow. And I'll get into that in a minute. And I would be very careful day trading, period. But look at this candle, what that was our 2022 low. So we came down and then look at how we made this huge. We opened down here at 349. And then what happened? We closed all the way, what? 365. This is the type of candle we're looking for. Everybody was ready to end it all on this day. Like, oh, it's over. See this line that was here? Oh, it's over. We finally broke it. It's over. That's the kind of thing we need. That's the kind of thing we need. This is always, and then look at how the next day, you know what everybody was saying the next day? Oh, it's fake. We're fucked. It's done. What did it do? It just went and retested the area that it was acting as support, right? One more time. Closed above it. Very next day, boom, boom, boom. We never saw that low again. So just interesting is my point, right? These are the types of things we need to look for. We just make sure I'm not neglecting the chat. Okay, no, agreed. Cool. Yeah, if you need to, anyone, or y'all can come off mute to ask questions. Just make sure to remute yourself, please, because we don't want to hear, whatever Jerry Springer ass shit y'all got going on at home. But anyway, so let's go over to VIX really quick. So I think everybody knows what VIX is, but I don't think people know why it's important to know what VIX is at when you're trading options. So I wouldn't be surprised. What is, let me just, 1 minute. I just want to see what a couple of like really speculative names are trading at right now. Like how far they got crushed. Let me see. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, yeah. What are VIX futures? Okay. So anyways, we need VIX to be like below 30. So I'm hoping everybody knows what I'm about to say. I'm sure there'll be a couple people that don't. And just quick Google if you're super lost. But VIX basically is the volatility index of the stock market. So if you've ever, and hopefully you do know what options Greeks are, and that side data, if you will, is what I'll call it when you're going to buy an options contract. I fear too many people do not, but there is this, it's not technically a Greek, but it always gets lumped in with the Greeks. It's called implied volatility. And if implied volatility is, let's just say 20, which is a good implied volatility, that's adding $20. Let's just say, this is not how the equation actually works. I'm just trying to make it very digestible right now. That'll add $20 of value to your options contract. And then if volatility goes down and that implied volatility goes to 10, you've now lost $10 of value on that options contract, regardless if you picked the winning side, right? If you were in calls and it went up and you were in puts and it went down. So to keep things simple, this is often why if you let's say you get calls and Amazon's going up and you're wondering why your option's going down, it's either theta or because you got IV crushed, just so that you know. So right now we closed with VIX at 46 on Friday. I'm not kidding. I wouldn't be surprised if this is at like 60 tomorrow. But what this is going to do is make implied volatility in all options contracts. And this is why you heard me saying last week that Chuck or JC or myself doing our day trades is your best bet right now, because that is going to be helpful in a day trading environment where the implied volatility is adding value to your contracts. But in a swing trading environment, again, I'm just using round numbers. I was going to pull out a piece of paper and do the actual equation. I don't know why the fuck I would do that. So let's say IV's at 95%, right? Because of where VIX is at. So that's an extra $95 on your contract, including like a leap, for example. This is why I was telling people don't average down on leaps. And I was getting a bunch of questions asking why. And I didn't have time on Friday. And honestly, I assumed people knew, and I should not have assumed that. So that's why I'm going over it right now. Is you buy that on Friday when VIX was at 46, and then that's an extra $95. Think of it as inflation to your contract. And then in 2 weeks, when we're in a less volatile time, because who knows, either we have now accepted that the tariffs are going to be on full bore for the next 4 years, or as we're already starting to see Japan, Taiwan, I forget what else, have all said they're literally coming to the US to talk to Trump and make a deal. Which, by the way, regardless of where you sit on the political spectrum, you should see that as a win. Whether it's for your money, whether it's for you believe in what's going on, all that kind of stuff. But that VIX will now go down to, where you can see it's more been historically down here, right, for a while. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm on the fucking 3-minute chart. So let me, as you can see, VIX is not normally this high, right? See, we will open, in my opinion, up at like 65 tomorrow. VIX is normally down here, right, in the teens and the early 20s. So let's say that IV was 95, you averaged down, or you thought you did on your leaps, and then 2 weeks later, volatility has come down and you're wondering why your option's not worth more. It's because you kind of bought a worthless average down. So hopefully you get what I'm saying. We need to see VIX come down more before we average down on any of our leaps or add new leaps. I've been getting a ton of DMs like, man, what leaps are you looking to add tomorrow? Absolutely fucking zero. This is the week that you deploy heavily to shares, or common stock, however you want to refer to it. So any questions about that, just really quick, from a VIX perspective or a SPY perspective? You also do want to be careful, period. Day trading this week, there's going to be some serious fuckery going on. But as long as you're quick, you're in and out, you're efficient, there will be a lot of money to be made. So, but questions. And what's nice though, right? Like we swung puts over the weekend. I mean, Lord knows, I wish I swung way more. I only swung like 3 contracts.
Then in 700 feet.
Kashanti, do you mind muting yourself? Thank you. But that'll help us, obviously, right? But that's not normally how it goes. That's why I'm telling you, right? So like VIX closed at 45, it'll probably close at it'll open at 65. That's actually going to boost our contracts. That's not normally how it goes. So
I had a quick question.
Go ahead, brother. Price tag.
So
I'm sure that's not your name, but that's how you're appearing.
yeah, do you think we're in a bear market right now or nah?
Great question. I mean, I kind of said it, right? It feels like we're here's what's so interesting. From a technical perspective, yeah, we will be 100%. It's a 20% drawdown from all-time highs. We will 100% technically be in a bear market, just like, I've been getting a bunch of questions like, do you think we're in a recession? And I'm like, brother, we've been in a recession. Since
Mhm.
like 2022, we've been in a recession and just nobody wanted to say anything. Every statistic that was out there, was saying we were in a recession. So yeah, from a technical standpoint, 100% we'll be in a bear market. And like I said, it's our third in 5 years, which is insane to say. So, but
So
yes,
if you think we've been in a recession like the past 3 years, what does a bull like market look like to you then?
well,
Like
we are in a
how
bull
high?
market. Well, we are in a bull market
Oh,
before.
okay,
So this
okay.
is this is there's a common phrase and nobody ever seems to understand it except
Hmm.
the last couple years was kind of proof is the stock market is not a reflection of the actual health of the economy. And
Okay.
like if you look, one of the reasons I was confident when I said in August, that it didn't really matter who won the election, the beginning of 2025 was going to be not good in the stock market was because the economy was telling us how shit was not really that sweet for the vast majority of people. I don't agree with maybe the way the current administration has addressed some things publicly, but one of the things they said over the weekend, which for better or for worse is the truth, is that like 60% of U.S. Citizens are not exposed to the stock market the way we are. Their 401ks and pensions, of course, but like if you're if you're under the retirement age, why do you shouldn't actively care about your 401k. If you do, you need to get a grip. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. It's a retirement account. Um, like we're kind of the outsiders, if you will, from like actively looking at the stock market every single day. Most people don't do that. Don't care about that.
Mhm.
But going at the end of 2024, like around November, the data that came out that was jarring to me, that was telling me we were headed towards some sort of market serious contraction was the lowest amount of new home sales in 15 years. That's super bearish. So for anybody that doesn't know, like I make this joke every week on this class that like the world economy is one giant Ponzi scheme, which by the way, if there was ever proof that it was, like if one man doing this can ruin the whole global economy, like what more do you need to know that the whole thing's a Ponzi scheme? But anyways, I won't get on my soapbox about that tonight. So lowest amount of home sales in 15 years. America is built on people buying homes. All-time high of credit card delinquencies, all-time high of credit card debt to lack of savings. So credit card debt was up here, American savings was down here, all-time high. Largest wealth gap since the Great Depression. Wages have been stagnant for 20 years. Student loans, nobody was paying them, right? And the last administration, combined with all the bickering of the other side of the aisle, couldn't get any forgiveness there. Not that that would have helped. That and the housing market are two bubbles that were waiting to burst. And all the market needed was a little bit of a push. And we all know Trump's not a little bit of a person, right? He's more of a shover. And that's why we're seeing the market the way that it is. So
Huh?
but we've been in a recession. That's what's so interesting. Like if
Okay.
you, I would tell people in the Discord all the time. We speak from a place of privilege, in my personal opinion, whether we realize it or not. And actually, there's a lot of people in the group. If you get to know them, man, if you go outside and just talk to everyday people, like people have been hurting for quite a while, right? Like
Yeah.
being a landlord, I think, and not a slumlord, kind of seeing that shit every day and seeing how people are like trying their best, but it doesn't really matter. And that's been going on for quite a while for the vast majority of people. So it's catching up to us, right? Like that's what you're seeing here. I mean, if anybody thought that like a lot of these stocks and whatnot were worth what they were, right? Like so if you and this is why I talk about the class that I put on so much is like learning stuff like price to earnings ratio, for example. I don't think like 85% of people in the main two discords I'm in even know what that means. But like if you look at 90% of the stocks that everybody talks about all day long, they're trading at insane evaluations. Insane evaluations. Um, and so it was only a matter of time. And that's why I said back in August, it doesn't really matter who's elected president in terms of the stock market, because we were headed towards, and this, what I will say is I guarantee this would have been a slow burn under Kamala, not a all out flash crash is what the term is, where it's literally just like you flash and we're crashing. Because
Do
that's
you
not her
think that
style.
happened with
That's not her
Palantir
style.
stock as well?
Oh, bro, Palantir looks like the best short in the market right now. That's actually one of the companies I was going to talk about right now.
Okay.
Um, PLTR, bro, shit. I mean, I told y'all, God, I don't know, whenever we were up here, this is why I said this shit was gonna die. This was trading at like a 400 P&E. A good P&E is in the 20s to 30s, just to be clear. So a 400,
Where do you see that at though?
you can just Google it, any company. I mean, now with
Okay.
ChatGPT and Grok, just ask like, hey, what's PLTR price to earnings ratio? And it'll tell you. Higher is not good, by the way. So like 400 is ludicrous. So, but yeah, this actually is like one of my favorite shorts right now. What's this at? What is this? Is this, I'm sure it's been nuked, but um this thing went up on pure hype. I've never seen a CEO so actively. Yeah, this is only down 7%. This is like one of my favorite plays actually this week is looking to short PLTR. But yeah, see, you can use ChatGPT to check the average P&E over the past few years too. Yeah, like ChatGPT, when you want to ask it a question on stuff like that, like I use it all the time when I'm looking at stocks. Like, hey, what's PLTR's current price to earnings ratio? And make sure you're looking at current, not forward. And I've always been a big hater of forward P&E and stuff like this. Exactly why. Like, I don't really care what you think. Uh, targets. I just have target up here is why targets forward P&E is looking for it. So much can change in 5 years, right? Like look at our last 5 years, like I've kind of been ranting about. So make sure you're looking at current P&E when you're looking at that kind of stuff. But yeah, PLTR, what happened to PLTR? It never should have been that high. So um but yeah, that's actually a great example to my overall point. Like there was all these stocks trading at insane multiples. Um, and it never, so it should be about 20%. It's not a percentage, just 20 to 30. Like for true, like if you go look at, and again, everything's inflated right now. Like even like Amazon's a great company, right? And again, we're in a bit different of time. Like historically, people would tell you like 20 to 30, and now a lot of people will say like, well, anything below 50 on a growth company, so like a Hims, a Hood, a PLTR is reasonable. But like so Amazon current P to E, I'll show y'all. I just typed this right into Chat GPT. That's all I typed in, Amazon current P to E, P/E. And it's taking forever right now. It's probably everybody in the world's. No, I'm just kidding. What? Yeah, it's frozen. Fucking here I am I'm trying to put Chat GPT on as if they need my advertisement and it's failing me. I'm gonna ask it again. Here we go. So as of April 6, 2025, Amazon's PDE was around 30, 30 to 31. Great value, by the way. Amazon's never been at a better price to buy shares. I would not be adding, like, for example, I added Amazon Leaps before VIX made that massive move up. I would not be averaging down on those tomorrow. I want to stress that again. I would not be averaging down on Leaps tomorrow in any way, shape, or form. Shares, 100%. Now is a good time. I threw a stack of cash into my share account tonight, actually, to buy some of these dips on shares, on common stock, not on options. And by the way, if you don't have shares or common stock, never been a better time to start an account, even if it's just an
I was gonna
ETF
ask you
account.
a question about
Yeah.
stocks.
Yeah, go
So,
ahead, bro.
like going into the next couple of years, what are your top like 3 to 5 stocks you're looking at?
Really quick. Guys, if you never drank sugar-free Fresca, oh my God. Anyways, yeah, great question. We can talk about that. So, first of all, make sure you have an account that's just ETFs. I personally just use Acorns for it because I have to do all this shit with you guys all the time. I have a freaking Robinhood account, an M1 account, a public, it's literally called public, a public account, a Webull account. And so I don't want to manage my ETFs myself. So I opened an Acorns account. I also have my kids' accounts on there too, which is super nice. If you have kids, that's like a really nice platform to have an ETF account for just yourself. So that's just like SPY, VOO, VTI, QQQ, IWM, all the ETFs that are out there in the world. There's literally thousands. I couldn't name them all, but they manage it for you. It's $5 a month. They manage it for you. That's where I dump a ton of cash. Um, so that's a great platform for just investing in ETFs. You can also just like, for example, if you do want to actively manage your buys in SPY, QQQ, all that kind of stuff, M1 is a great account to just buy shares. The reason I use M1 specifically is they do not have options trading. And you're probably like, oh, well, why wouldn't you want a platform that has options trading? Again, in stocks, in trading, you'll learn so much about yourself. This is like our April masterclass starts Wednesday, and this is one of the things I talk about is you really need to know yourself in trading, and trading will really teach you a lot about yourself. And I have an extraordinarily addictive personality, and if I had all the money that I have in individual shares in an account that I could also trade options in, the minute I needed to average down on an options play, I would be selling my equity to try to put it into an options play to average down because I'd be like, okay, if I average down and then I win this and it 10x's, then I can buy even more shares. And you know what would actually happen? I'd get my ass eaten out and I'd fucking lose 90% and then I wouldn't have those shares. So I really like M1 because you can't trade options on it. It's common stock only. That's really good for someone like me. So I buy all my individual names there. And then I do my option trading on Webull, Public, and Robinhood. But in terms of your question price tag, because I still don't know your name, because you literally show up as a price tag here. Um,
Yeah, that's my name right now.
that's okay, bro. I respect it. Never know. The feds could be here right now. So
Yeah,
um
yeah, yeah.
not that I'm really worried about the feds. This is a joke I've been making pretty consistently. If there was ever a time for me to not pay my taxes, it was this year. I did pay my taxes if the feds are here. I did. It's all been submitted as of last week. I'm just saying. They just fired like 10,000 IRS employees. Like if you think the guys and gals that made the cut aren't in there just fucking stamping shit, moving on, just hoping they get to keep their job, man. That's not financial advice. That's the only time I'll say that tonight because that's technically breaking the law if you don't pay your taxes. But if there was ever a time to not do it, just saying. Just saying. And I did pay mine. I did pay mine. Okay. So if we are being listened to, I did pay mine. Anyways, names that I really like over the next because when I buy shares, I'm holding for at least 5 years. We don't pay taxes and only pay. Whoa. No, I did. I talk about them all the time. Hims is one that I'll definitely be. I'm buying this tomorrow for sure. I'm hoping we hit $20 on this. This fib I got down here with this massive fair value gap. I honestly can't believe it's not at 20. Last time I checked, it was only at $23. I'm like, bro, what is it going to take? I've been begging for this to hit $20 in the chat for like 2 weeks. Let's see what it's at right now. And
So did
again,
you sell
remember,
some when it hit like that 50, 60 price range and then you average down more when it like hit 30s? Or how did you play
I
that?
didn't. I shorted it down from 67. I didn't own any of it then. Um,
Okay.
between Hims, Hood, and PLTR, I was telling people they were going to be great shorts. I signaled all those shorts too. I was like $4 off Hims all time high and shorting it. That was a great trade. See, like Hims is almost back to $25. It's actually ridiculous that this fucking thing won't go any lower. It's because they know that and this is why I like this company so much for the long term, right? You got to ask yourself when you're long term investing, like what's a company's moat, which just to be as simple as possible is really just like what makes this company stand out. And so Hims has really understood my generation and younger. Majority of us are losers, no offense. Majority of people our age barely like to leave their home. They have every disorder known to man, or they've convinced themselves they have every disorder known to man. And so Hims was like, wow, what if we gave people a platform where they never have to leave their homes and we can diagnose them with every disorder that they think they have, and then we'll get them prescriptions to all their drugs and we'll send it to right to their house. That's what they do. Anxiety medicine, erectile dysfunction, uh you're too fat, you need Ozempic, all that stuff. So they have a great moat. Really love them long term. Um and yeah, great one. Hood is another one that I really like long term. for obvious reasons, right? They're doing a ton in terms of, long-term investing and all that kind of stuff. They're killing it. The amount of users they're getting on their platform is insane. Finally, the retail investor, I guess, if you will, is starting to take investing more serious, which is great to see. And happy about that. I love Celsius. It kind of goes back to my other opinion on Hims, for example, and all that kind of stuff. The uh there's no drug in America abused more than caffeine, and then they combine that with great looking men and women, which help sell the product around the world, right? So love Celsius. If you look at Monster Energy chart, Monster has actually beat Nvidia in terms of like the last 10 years in terms of stocks, which is insane. So big fan of that. Somebody just said RKLB. I do really like RKLB actually a lot too. Been buying shares of Rocket Lab myself. Big fan of this company long term. And then just your staples, right? Nvidia, Amazon. I think like I kind of went on a tangent about how I think Amazon's at an amazing value. I still think Tesla will be fine in the long term. So I'm going to start accumulating more of that. Here, let me pull up my account really quick and just see what else. No, I think I said Nvidia. Everything in the world takes chips nowadays. Though a lot of companies are. Oh, Meta. Should have said Meta. A lot of companies are starting to make their own chips. That'd be my only bear case against Nvidia. Like Amazon, for example, is making their own chip. As you can tell, I like Amazon. Netflix will always be a good buy long term. And yeah, I don't mind Celsius P&E being where it is. I kind of said, right, like I was going off the historical, hey, 2030. A lot of people now say higher is okay, but like for example, PLTR being at 400 was like such a sign that like come on. No way, right? Like once you're in those triple digits like that and they're not
Yeah.
providing any actual value, not that PLTR is not providing any actual value, don't get me wrong, but they only have one customer. It's the U.S. government. You know what the U.S. government's doing right now? Cutting costs like there's no tomorrow. So again, the PLTR short was to me obvious. SoFi, yes, I like SoFi, but in times like this, bank stocks are not really where I want to put my money. Like if there's a run on banks, SoFi, JPM, so on and so forth, they're cooked for the short term. So again, I'm not looking to add a ton right now. Lululemon and Nike. I mean, like Vietnam was the first company to fold, which is why you saw on Friday, like Lulu was up like $40, despite the market being red as fuck. Yeah, I buy Bitcoin every day. It's whoever just asked. So Lulu, Nike, like if I could only pick one of these, it would be Lululemon. No offense, but just a better long-term company. Nike, they've kind of lost their moat, but I still love Nike, right? Like you still see Nike shoes everywhere. I still think this will be $100 stock again, but like Lulu has again big time growth potential still, especially once they split again, which they'll do a split for sure. Nike, right? Like it's kind of like Disney. If you can get it sub 100, buy it because you know it's going back to 100 eventually. But Nike's the same way. Disney's the same way, right? Like Disney needs to like lean way back into the theme parks because that's the only piece of their business that's making any money anymore and it's holding the rest up. But like, look at this, right? You know, you can buy it and it'll go back to 100. That's just what it does. But anything over that, like people are like, oh, Disney's getting 200. No, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt Disney will ever see $200 again.
I had another question about Nvidia, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
So I was reading up on like some of their information, and then in the comments, someone mentioned that like we get most of our chips and stuff from like Taiwan, and like
Yep.
if that ever halted, it would be like a massive like negative for their stock or company. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. Almost like the whole semiconductor market is in Taiwan. That's why Taiwan put out a thing that their president is on a plane over here to talk to Trump to try to get their
Okay.
they're willing to if we're willing to go to zero, which by the way, so there's a couple of things here. I'll get into this because I know there's people that want me to give my overall opinion on everything. there's two things, whether you're a fan or not, that I think you, right? Like I always say, we got dick suckers, and then we got people that want to cut the man's dick off of Trump, right? Like there's no in between. I consider myself the in between. The man's ego's huge, right? Like he wants to be able to come out and say, I got this great deal, right? Wants to announce a huge, great deal. So like the fact that Vietnam was the first one to fold, which again, we make up 45% of their, that was actually, had to give myself a little pat on the back when all this happened. And somebody asked me in the Discord, like, oh, what country do you think is going to fold first? I was like, Vietnam. We make up like, it's literally like 45% of their GDP America makes up. Like, they can't afford not to be like, bro, okay, sure, we'll go to zero tariffs. If that's what you want, bro, sure, fine, fuck it. They folded like literally immediately. It wasn't even 24 hours. Then India, Japan, the UK tried to be tough at first, Taiwan, and there was all this chatter that like Japan, Taiwan, and China and all the Asian countries were going to band together and say fuck America. Here is why Trump's crazy plan might work out. It has nothing to do with manufacturing. Everybody keeps making it about manufacturing. I think that part's fucking crazy. I get the premise that like, hey, because if you look at it, what we've done in America largely is we neglected every sector but tech for the last, X amount of years or whatever. Like Detroit, Michigan's a great example.
I think you
If
went
you
on
look,
mute.
oh, did I? How do I unmute myself? Where the fuck's my thing? Nobody can hear me? Can anybody hear
I
me?
can hear you. Yeah, I
Oh,
hear
you
you.
can hear me. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Y'all can hear me. Cool. Okay, y'all hear me. If you look at like a Detroit, Michigan's a great example, right? And you look at how that city used to be like one of the most beautiful cities in America. I mean, it's a dump now, right? And I'm from Chicago originally. I don't have a problem saying that about Detroit. No offense to y'all, but it's a dump, right? And there's a bunch of cities like that around America that have become total dumps. Even where we have tech, for example, right? Like San Francisco is overrun with a variety of issues. And it's because of the kind of the point I was going on earlier of the stock market is not a reflection of the actual economy. Over 90% of our stock market is owned, like in terms of shares outstanding, is owned by 10% of our population. And then like the rest is people like you, me, everybody here, right? And while I own a good bit, it's not like I can go not work tomorrow type of thing. And then there's all these other people who are fucked, for lack of a better word. And so that's why it's funny. RFK Sr., so the guy, the brother, the JFK's brother, who also got shot, not RFK, who's the health dude now, used to say all the time, like GDP is a terrible measure of an actual health of an economy, as it doesn't actually measure anything that matters in terms of the health of your citizens. And that's why that's because the situation we're in right now is exactly why he used to say that all the time. Because our GDP in that time, by the way, since America decided to outsource all of our manufacturing to everywhere else in the world, we're okay with slave labor as long as it's not in our country, which I always think is hilarious. Not to the people, obviously, that are still in slave labor, but we're fine with it as long as it's not in the US. Our morals are cool with it then. And the all of that income, for lack of a better word, left. And then that's why you saw tech just blow up the way that it did. But we left behind X amount of citizens. So now here we are. And the reason that these countries, again, back to now my wider point, in terms of manufacturing, I think it's a nice way for Trump to try to make it seem like he cares about the common man. I don't know him personally. I don't think people that rich really, who knows, bro, right? Like I don't fucking know. Maybe they do. But it's a nice little thing to say, right? That they do. But what they're betting on is not so much that we're going to replace China as a manufacturer, right? Like fuck no. First of all, anybody that thinks that we could replace China as a manufacturer, bro, no. No. They get to Z gets to do whatever he wants because he's not until he's dead and in the ground, he's going to be president, right? Like Trump doesn't have that. He's got 4 years. There's no fucking way we're going to replace China as a manufacturer. But what they're betting on and why it's working, and I talked about this in terms of China specifically, but why you're seeing all these countries now, bigger ones like Japan and India, fold so quickly is no one can replace the US consumer. We make up almost 50% of the world's spending. So say that again with me. We make up almost 50% of the world's spending. So everybody that's saying China can replace us, no, the fuck they cannot. They don't spend anywhere close to us. They actually have the opposite of a culture that you want in a situation like this. They don't spend money. They don't. They're not like Americans. All we fucking do is spend money. That's all we do. Couple that with China has a massive worker problem right now, funny enough. They have a super old population. They have Japan's them on a even bigger scale, by the way. They can't. And that's why you're seeing China acting tough in public because they need to. But what the current administration, because it's obviously not just Trump, is betting on that, like, hey, we kind of know we have the cards, and we're gonna start acting like that, and we'll see if it pays off. Because here's the thing I keep telling people: there's no in the middle. I love all the super anti-Trump people that are like, oh yeah, this is gonna suck, but in like 7 months it's gonna be great. No, it's either gonna go really well or really fucking bad, and here's why. If eventually China blinks, because I'm sorry, but the EU, like anybody who's like, oh, the EU and Canada, go talk to any Canadian citizen right now. They are fucking panicked. They are completely panicked right now. So Canada's a joke. I'm not even going to give Canada the time of day. If you actually think Canada is a threat to the US, like, what are you even smoking? So we won't even talk about them. And then the EU, again, they lack the ability to replace us. We make up a bigger consumer we're a bigger consumer of EU products than the EU themselves. They can't replace us. Same thing with China. But China's the one that really matters because they're the ones, in my opinion, that would, if you want to boil it down to it's as simple as just a game of chicken, China's the type to be like, oh, we don't really give a fuck about our people. So sure, we'll just sit here. We can sit here and we can deal with the hate way longer than Trump can. So that'll be the interesting one. That's the interesting domino to fall. China and the US are all that really matters in terms of, and Russia, but we're not even going to talk about them in this whole thing tonight. We'd be here for hours. So it'll be interesting. It all comes down to China and the US, who's going to blink first. And we'll see. We'll see which one does. I don't think China holds as good of a hand as a lot of people are trying to make it seem. So and we'll see. We'll see. So anyways, now that I kind of broke down the situation and everything that's happening, what stock questions or economic questions period do y'all have? I'll take a couple of questions. Baba Shorts. And CB raised his hand. You can just talk, bro. If you have a question, you can come off of mute. Or you can just type it in the chat. So CB, raise your hand. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So the question I have for you would be, what are your long-term thoughts about space stocks? I know you said that you like RKLB, but what about like ASTS? I don't think IonQ is a space one.
No, IonQ is not.
Yeah.
I don't mind ASTS. I don't know. Here's my opinion on this. I'd love if SpaceX was public, that's what I would be telling you to in terms of a space stock.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
So, but other than that, like I said earlier, RKLB is my thing. I'm big on, don't get me wrong. Diversification's great, but like that's why I have an ETF account in my share account. I like where I'm picking individual companies. I like to pick 10 to 12 and go really hard on those. Because that's where the money's made. It's not in diversification in individual stocks, right? Like when you're trying to buy 100 names and you're putting a little bit of cash in each of them, I tell people, I'm like, bro, just go buy SPY. Or bro,
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a woman, so I'm sorry that I called you bro, but you get what I'm saying.
No, you're fine.
just go buy SPY, right? So, so like for me, space, RKLB.
Yeah. So I'm pretty
So,
diversified. I do, have the bigger names like PLTR. Like I bought in at
yep,
$20 and obviously now it's
nice.
at like 70. But I didn't sell. But
Yeah, it's
like
at like 50 now.
yeah. And so I do still like have some hope in that. I am in
Yeah, long term for sure.
TEM. Yeah, of course. Like my strategy when it comes to investing is definitely for the long term. So like
Yep,
even with TEM, like I do pay attention to a lot of the things, especially like with what is the app called where it tracks the politicians. Like I pay attention to Nancy's portfolio. So I did
yeah,
buy
unusual whales.
yep, yep, yep.
Yep,
And I did buy TEM, Tempest AI, that's the actual name. So I was
yep,
holding that and I did make money from that, but I
nice.
did kind of FOMO. So I'm
Been
down
there.
like 1K from trading my own options in that. And so I did make money, but then I ended up losing it all again because with the tariffs. But I didn't take that into consideration because I'm like, why is this all going down? Because I went up from being from like 3K and then like back down to 400. So it's just like, it's all a learning lesson, but I do
Oh yeah.
actually to hold everything long term.
Yeah, no, everyone should be a long-term investor first, trader second for sure. So agree with you there. And yeah, there was signs is what I've been trying to tell people.
Yeah.
That's how kind of how I started class was, um, for example, it's actually never failed. So, um, again, you can ask AI. I get this off of a one company or a website called Bar Chart, but it's percent of basically retail traders in the stock market, and every time it hits a certain high, we crash. Um, and it's because kind of like what I said, like all the FUD that you're seeing, and I like it's, I've been pretty disappointed. Not in one Discord that I'm in, I've been pretty disappointed with all the FUD that's been posted and stuff. It's like we do this to ourselves at the end of the day. Like retail traders do this to themselves. Like we get over leveraged, you put way too much in, you bought at levels that like you knew in the back of your head, right? Like, I probably shouldn't buy up here. Like it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I did it too, right? Like we all do it. But
No,
it's why I preach all the time. Like, don't over leverage. Don't quit your day job just because you were able to successfully trade for 4 or 5 months. Like, promise you're not a pro trader just yet. And always make sure you have a good amount of cash on hand. Like whenever people are like, man, you don't need any cash, put it all in the market or put it all in this. I'm like,
no,
ooh,
absolutely. I
you do
completely
need
like,
some cash. So
yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Like I even went to school and I have my undergrad in finance. So it's just like this is the first, well, a few months ago I got into option trading because of TJ. And so that's why I joined the
yep.
Discord. But it's like now it's like, okay, I'm learning like, okay, maybe if I do this, I can't like do it as much or like try to FOMO into every play that gets posted in the
Oh,
Discord. But for sure, definitely the long term investing I've found to be way more better. But if I can make money, why not? So that's how
exactly. No, 100%. I tell people that all the time too. And I always tell people like don't try to follow every call that every one of us signals all the time and that kind of stuff. You'll end up losing money for sure. And just remember that, um don't be too hard on yourselves, y'all. Like only 5% of retail traders are profitable. Like that's what always kills me. People don't get too high and don't get too low. That's why like you've seen me be like I think it's crazy the way freaking out and fudding everybody and thinking the worst of the worst is going to happen and stuff. Um, that's not going to help. And same thing in the opposite, right? When you see people just like, man, why am I even working a day job? Like I should just be trading options all the time. It's like,
absolutely.
no, you
Yeah.
should
And
not.
I even think that too, like, because I think what gets people the most is FOMO. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm very big on diversification. Like, I even bought some gold and I bought it at peak, like 2,800. And then, like, the next week it went back down to like 25, 26. And, like, obviously now it's up, but definitely
Oh
FOMO.
no, it's going back down. I told
Yeah.
everybody last week to get out of gold, funny enough. And it's how it's actually one of the reasons I think we're gonna see a bottom relatively again, relatively soon. And bottom by bottom, I think too many people think like when Oh, we've put in a bottom that means we're going to go make a new all-time high. That is not the case. We
Mhm.
might trade in this range for a considerable amount of time. But when you see markets crashing and gold not going up, normally that's Wall Street tipping their hat, showing you that they're getting ready to go long again.
Mhm. Gold
Because
and
all
silver.
this dumping, all this, I could not help but laugh when there was reports today saying like, oh, Goldman Sachs and these companies, they're having like some of their traders come in tonight. Uh, who the fuck do you think is trading futures every Sunday night? They always have people in on Sunday night, but they know retail traders don't do that, know that, so they're putting it out like it's some it like crazy, oh my God, we're fucked type of news. Did you think that futures were just trading themselves every Sunday night? Like, did you did you not think there was people at desks trading that? Like, so it's just crazy the shit that's being said right now. And again, it happens every time, right? And it's always made out to be worse. We'll be hard pressed to have a worse crisis than we had in '08. That was like the system fundamentally died. So, we'll see, right? But everybody take a breath. So, yeah, no, appreciate the level-headedness there, CB. So, appreciate
Of
you
course. Thank
I had
you.
another quick
comments.
question for you.
Yeah, go ahead by all means. That's what we're here for, everybody.
Did you go to the stock TAZ? Just like look at the chart for me.
And by the way, really quick, TAZ, are you
Yeah, or
sure
TZA.
that's it? TZA?
It's an
Um,
ETF.
yeah, I found it now. Um,
Okay, and then like put it to like max, so you could go all the way back to like 12
sure.
years ago or 13 years ago.
CB, just to tie in bow on something you had mentioned and asked, just so you know, there's an app that I really like called Autopilot, and as long as you have a
Yes, it's actually
Robin,
autopilot. That's what it is. I couldn't
okay,
get it. Yeah,
yep,
it
yeah,
is autopilot because I track both Michael
yeah,
Berry and Nancy Pelosi.
yep, cool. So you already know about it, awesome. So for anybody that doesn't know about that, it there's an app called Robinhood, or there's you all know Robinhood. You need a Robinhood account to get a to use autopilot, but basically you give them permission to trade your account and they literally file certain people's trades. So like it was really cool. I tested it with the Nancy Pelosi one and it did work well. So if you truly just want to do that. Okay, brother, back to your question. Though. You want me to zoom out like 12 years
Yeah, like
ago?
around the '08 to '09 like crash that happened back then.
Sure.
So like what happened with the stock that made it go up to like 1.6 million a share and then average back down to like hundreds of thousands of dollars?
They just split this, I'm assuming. And this is also a triple leveraged ETF, just so you know. So and it's bearish, so it performs super fucking well in a bear market and super fucking bad in a bull market, which outside of '08, and again, there's way less bear markets than there are bull bear markets. So I'm not surprised. Like notice during COVID, this went way up, right?
Hmm.
I'm shocked it didn't do numbers during 2022. We had technically a couple worse days in 2022 than we had in 2020. That's wild.
How does like a
Um,
stock get up to like that value? Like
so this is
per
triple
share?
leveraged. This is triple leverage. So see how it says 3x? So this is like, so I don't know if you know anything about crypto, but like trading crypto on leverage, for example, that's what this is in the stock market world. So like if you're
Oh,
right,
okay.
you're going to make a bunch of money, and if you're wrong, you're going to lose a fuck ton of money. So I don't personally mess with leveraged products. Like there's leveraged products for everything. Tesla has a leveraged ETF and it's 2x. Like look at this shit. It's just getting nuked since the since all this. So just something to be careful of uh if you're trading on leverage. So,
Okay, thank you.
yep, no problem. Good question. What other questions, y'all?
Alec, what is a leap? I keep hearing people talk about
Yeah.
it. What
A
is it?
leap is any options contract that has 12 or more months time on it. So like my Amazon 2027 calls that I called out last or 2 weeks ago, those are considered a leap. So it's anything that has more than 12 months of time left on expiration.
Got it. Interesting.
Yep. Yep.
Not there
Good
yet,
question.
but yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we'll
No,
get there.
good question. I'm sure you will get there. That's you'll know you're there. You know you've really made it as a trader when you're like, I want to be in leaps. So You look at the dollar too on top of gold. Yeah, I look at Dixie, Joey, for sure. Right now, I'm not because I don't think it fucking matters. That's why you haven't heard me talk about Dixie. I mean, we can pull up the dollar really quick. So, but anybody that doesn't know, if you ever heard people call about or talk about DXY, that's the US dollar. Um, it's very interesting. So, like the 10-year is getting crushed right now, which is exactly what they want. And the whole if this all ends up working, I'm gonna actually be quite impressed because like I'm definitely not a Trump hater, but I didn't think he was obviously like the smartest dude in the world, right? Like honestly, he talks like you're kind of like two tequila shots deep out with the boys like all the time, which is hilarious. But you know, like if he pulls this off, I'm gonna be like, wow, bro, I need to drink more clearly. So, because like exactly what they need to happen. So they want two things to happen. America trades on a deficit, not on a surplus. And all the main nations we trade with trade on a surplus. So they feel like we're getting fucked. We are in many ways, as I explained earlier. I'm not gonna rehash that, right? We long time ago, which I do think is hilarious that Trump's leading this charge. There's so much irony in the world going on right now. If you look, Nancy Pelosi gave a speech like 20 years ago on the importance of why we should start tariffing other countries, almost bar for bar, like how Trump's talking about it now. And I'm just like, man, what? We're in some bizarro land. Because like if we're really being honest, like Trump benefited greatly from basically our us saying fuck it to the common person for the last, however many years. And Nancy Pelosi obviously is the exact opposite in terms of like her public face, and that's why she this was 1996, so it was actually like 30 years ago at this point, was talking about doing this. Like we can't operate in a deficit against China. We can't, or we're going to become a Chinese state, for lack of a better word. And I'm like, man, what? We're in a weird timeline. That's my only point. And so it'll be interesting to see what the hell happens. So, but anyways, Joey, yeah, like the dollar, yeah, the US dollar, I find it very interesting that it's going up right now because you would think it would be going down. So I'm not even looking at it right now. Um, let's see. Do you ever look at the dollar on top of gold? Yeah, and the only reason I look at gold, one, normally it's a decent hedge, right? The reason I was telling people to get the fuck out of it last week, you can kind of start to see the signs. It was entering distribution phase, which for anybody that doesn't know is a phase. There's accumulation, there's distribution, and distribution is when big smart money is selling off to dumb money. And I was starting to see that take place, and I was trying to warn people because, as you know, Joey, we had a decent amount of folks in Divine that were long gold, and that shit's getting nuked right now, which is so fascinating. What do you think the future of Bitcoin is if it can hold this level during the bear market? Man, I fucking hope, bro. I'm a big Bitcoin believer. It's like the only truly inflation-proof asset. I really wanted it to stay up here. Man, we were doing such a good job holding this 83 level, and then they fucking. I hate Bitcoiners, man. I hate Bitcoiners. They waited till Sunday, man. Bitches, bitches, man. But we have like what could be a nice little inverse head and shoulders. Really janky one, but everything's jank right now. So,
I do have another
um,
question for you.
yeah, go ahead.
So I wanted to know, do you often find it better to actually just buy dividend ETFs and putting them in like a Roth IRA? That way you're not paying the income tax? Because I've seen like um mixed reports on how people feel about dividend ETFs, but I feel like it makes more sense to put them in a Roth IRA rather than you have them in your own individual account and you're paying that
Yeah,
income
so you're not
tax.
paying the capital gains
Yeah,
and the
right,
income tax.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, by all means. I love just dividend stocks, period, in your IRA. I'm a big believer in not actively trading your retirement. I think that's fucking crazy. There's like a whole contingent on FinTwit and like people that actively trade their IRA, and I think that's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Because
I think you shouldn't even be touching it at all.
yeah, I don't. That's all automated, and yeah, I have some high dividend stuff in there. Can't remember the one ETF. I'll chat it to you after the call. But yeah, no, I think that's a great move. So
Thank you.
yep. And then yeah, that kind of hopefully answers this question about high dividend stocks. And then yeah, the future of Bitcoin. I mean, just to tie a bow on that, Kobe. I don't know if I'm a believer in like it's going to go to a million or something like that. 500K I think is pretty realistic though. And I'm a big believer in what Bitcoin stands for. I've been trying to look at other futures and other types of charts to see where we could be headed. Yeah, that's smart, Joey, for sure. Like I said, gold is painting an interesting picture to me right now. VIX is telling me I need to be super careful of options right now. The S&P kind of holding this level is super interesting. I don't know when you joined, Joey. I think you've been here. I think you were the first person that fucking joined, actually. But if we truly if we were to truly bottom here, it'd be super interesting because, like I said, and I'm not calling for that, right? Like I started to call it stupid to act like you're calling for a top or bottom, but we'd be right around where we broke out. It took us a long time and we never retested that area because this was about where our bottom was. And we bounced harder than I thought we would, to be completely honest, because we're at max FUD right now. Max FUD. Like, for example, even though I'm in one of the discords I'm in right now that I have pulled off to the side here, despite Elon like retweeting Trump and shit and talking about how much he loves them this weekend, there's people like, oh, they're about to kill each other type of stuff. I mean, we're at max. The hedge funds are trying to make it seem like if you don't sell right now, you're fucked. And they want you to sell, by the way. They need your liquidity so that they can go fill orders. That's why they're getting fucking margin called. Again, I always say this. The only reason smart money is profitable is because they fuck with you so easily. They fuck with retail traders' heads so easily. And that's how they make their money. I mean, somebody on some hedge fund on Friday bought I was already talking about this, like $13 million worth of Apple calls. Those are at fucking zero. And yet people think that we're so much dumber than them. No, they just make us I do admire their ability to make us feel dumb and all this shit they put out. And it's so much easier with social media now. It's insane. So it'll be interesting. I feel like they're gonna fuck with a lot of people. Yeah, 100% they will. And yeah, I would not be swinging anything but comments right now. That's all I'm gonna say. And or I wouldn't average down on any leaps. Like I said, we need to see VIX shake out. So any sectors you think will be revived in the next 4 years? Example, American-owned construction, oil, and infrastructure companies. That's a great question. That's a really great question. Obviously, companies like a Tesla or a Rivian, for example, who right now they would be subject to zero tariffs. There was somebody put out a chart on car companies that are going to be really fucked if these tariffs actually happen. And I pause to say June, for example, is a really big month in my opinion. I think we're going to know a lot more. I think way too many people are speaking in absolutes about these tariffs. If this many countries, I think that it came out, it was reported by BBC, 55 countries have offered to go zero on tariffs, notable ones like India, whatever ones I named before. At this point in the night, it's almost 10 o'clock here. My brain's mush. But, you know, if they're all going to go to zero and we're going to operate with zero tariffs on any side, I don't think the tariffs will stay. That's where, like, to me, that's where, like, I think Trump's whole, hey, I care about the common man thing to a point, but I don't believe him at the same time. And like, if he can get all tariffs down, if he can get these tariffs way down that he feels he can then go back and claim great victory. That's what he wants, in my opinion, right? Like everybody that's acting like, oh, he's gonna send the system to zero. Like, there's one thing, I don't care if you love him or you hate him. Like I said earlier about his ego, the man likes to be liked. And by the way, he gets people that hate him when he's in person. Look at the Bidens and how fucking chummy they all were with him when he went and spent time with them. The man likes to be liked. And if he can, one, make people on the other side look like complete idiots, because by the way, if he does get what he's claiming he wants here, which is to get all these other countries' tariffs off us and blah, 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 I don't think he'll keep him on. And so then, like, that's where the reason I'm saying all that is, like, I don't know if I want to invest in American coal mining, for example, because there's still a huge part of me that doesn't actually think that's going to come, if that makes sense, to the gentleman or gentlewoman who just asked that question. So I don't know. I don't know, man. Like in terms of American companies that I'm looking to buy. Chipotle, right? Like, bro, where the big backs go, I'm always gonna go. And that's American made. McDonald's, Walmart, um, you know, wait for them to hit some bottoms and Gentlewoman is crazy. And wait for them. But Walmart's going to be packed during the recession. McDonald's going to be packed if we really hit a recession, and it's going to be packed regardless. So, but I don't know about American coal mining or American manufacturing yet. I don't know if I buy all that totally. I buy the message and what they're trying to say they stand for. I just don't know if I think it happens. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully that makes sense. Any other questions, anyone? And the woman is crazy. That made me laugh. Do I like ET during all this? ET's, man, it's good stock, good company. We traded that like crazy out of this year. But like, do I like it more than other things? Is that what you're asking me? Sure, if you want to start accumulating shares, yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't trade options on it. It's already a decently illiquid chain, so it'll be even harder to trade right now. With the VIX being so high, would you do a straddle? We do straddles in the one Discord all the time. Not my cup of tea personally, but I understand your propensity to want to do it right now. But not my thing. I know my edge, I know my game in trading, and that's why you've seen me alert way more share buys over the last month. For example, I was shocked that more people hadn't commented on. Like I took a pretty big shift like a month and a half ago to mainly just alerting comments. And it's because I saw this coming. So it didn't need to be overexposed no matter what. So any other questions tonight? What's the other Discord you're in besides Divine? It's a Discord called OnlyBans. Just a great name, by the way. I've been in OnlyBans since 2019. I've been a mod. That was the first Discord I was ever a mod in. So Tej wanted me back like 6 months ago, and the rest is history. Been helping. Best chats to have monitored for your common stock buys. Edgar calls in both of the Discords is what my channel is. That's where I post them. I'm definitely buying some tomorrow. Definitely buying Hims, shares, Hood, some toast. We'll see what else tomorrow. I really want to buy NVIDIA, but I need to see Taiwan's president come over here and bend the knee. Apparently he's on his way over. That's what Taiwan said. So we'll see. And the Trump White House all but confirmed that as well. So anything else tonight, y'all? If not, I'll let you go. This was a packed class. We had like 70 people at one point. When you think we hit bottom, can you shout it from the mountaintop, please? Sure, bro. Yep. I will do that. I will do that. Got to be careful calling tops and bottoms, like I said. But yes, I will. I will. I will. It's never when most people think. I said that in the last class too. I've been saying that a lot lately. Like when COVID's just a perfect example because it's one that you all remember and all lived through and paid attention. I'm sure a lot of people here either didn't care or haven't studied the '08 crisis. And no, I'm not a real estate agent. I'm in tech sales. Funny enough, I'm in management. But anyways, the in COVID at its absolute worst, like when people were actually dying, like those numbers were getting reported every day and all that stuff. The stock market had bottomed like three months before 2022 when we were at it, like actually at its worst, layoffs were happening, all that kind of shit. The stock market had bottomed like 2 months prior. So, and no, I'm not a real estate agent. Do I give off real estate agent vibes? One of my good friends is a real estate agent. So yes, I'll try to do my best. Anyways, hope you all have a wonderful night. I do. I have a rental business, but I'm not a real estate agent. I have 10 properties. So all right, everyone. See you. What do you sell? Can't tell too much about myself. See you, everyone.